The story begins by showing Qi Nian, a young and talented comic artist working at a prominent comic publishing company in China. Qi Nian, known by her pen name Qi Zai, possesses remarkable artistic skills. However, she struggles when it comes to crafting compelling love stories. At 24 years old, Qi Nian has limited experience with romance, which reflects in her work. Unfortunately, her latest comic, which ended with the main characters engaged in a heated fight, has received overwhelmingly negative reviews. During a meeting with her superiors, Qi Nian faces criticism for her work. Her boss issues a stern ultimatum, warning her that her career is at stake if her next project fails to bring about a change. Qi Nian's editor, Xin inquires about her plans for the next comic. With confidence, Qi Nian presents a snippet of her latest work. However, Xin's forehead furrows in disappointment upon seeing it. The emotional depth that Xin hoped for was instead interpreted by Qi Nian as a conflict. Qi Nian even jokingly suggests titling her new work "Let's Wrestle My Love." Concerned for Qi Nian's future, Xin pleads with her to create a teenage comic with a captivating romantic storyline that can touch readers' hearts and generate success. Xin advises Qi Nian to immerse herself in the world of romantic teen comics, emphasizing that this month's new releases may be her final opportunity. Outside of her office, Qi Nian becomes engrossed in sketching, lost in her thoughts. Suddenly, she is approached by a dog named Qi Bao. Feeling an instant connection with the dog, Qi Nian decides to find its owner. Qi Bao's lively nature captivates her, and Qi Nian is taken aback when she discovers that Qi Bao's owner is incredibly handsome. Unintentionally, Qi Bao starts chasing a butterfly, causing his owner to stumble and fall into Qi Nian's arms. In the midst of the chaos, the man ends up kissing Qi Nian as his dog jumps on his back to pursue the butterfly. This unexpected incident causes Qi Nian's heart to race. Back in her office, Qi Nian works on her comic with renewed enthusiasm. She feels a surge of inspiration flowing through her. When her editor sees the sketch she has created, mirroring the earlier encounter, he is shocked. Curious about where Qi Nian drew such an idea, she confesses that the incident was her own story. Determined to incorporate the man as a character in her new work, Qi Nian embarks on a quest to find him. Failing to locate him in the previous location, she resorts to searching for the missing dog on the internet, hoping it will lead her to the man she seeks. The following morning, Qi Nian receives a comment stating that someone had spotted the dog and its owner, possibly at Kunming University. Without hesitation, she rushes to the university. Finding the man isn't too difficult for Qi Nian, as she is directed to the architecture major class where he teaches. Finally, Qi Nian comes face to face with the man she has been searching for. His name is Ji Yan Xin, a charismatic and handsome professor who is always invited as a guest lecturer at Kunming University. His assertive teaching style draws large crowds of students, making his classes highly popular. Yan Xin also runs an architecture office known as Ji Yan Office. While he seems perfect in many ways, Yan Xin has one flaw: he struggles to remember people's names. He even relies on an application to recognize individuals. Every year, Professor Ji, as he is called, challenges his students to open a wooden box he holds. If someone manages to open it, they earn the right to make a request. So far, no student has succeeded in winning the challenge. However, Qi Nian is in luck this time, as she successfully opens the box. In return, Professor Ji invites her to his room for a discussion. Recognizing Qi Nian as the girl he had met before, Professor Ji examines her notebook and takes a look at a sketch of her drawing. He asks her about her intentions. Having fulfilled the challenge, as promised, Professor Ji inquires about Qi Nian's wish. Naturally, Qi Nian expresses her desire to be close to Professor Ji so she can spend time with him. Professor Ji, interpreting her request differently, assumes that Qi Nian wants to be his assistant. This news delights Qi Nian's editor, who is pleased with her progress in creating a love story. When Qi Nian begins her first day as Professor Ji's assistant, he takes the time to explain his weekly activities to her. Curious as to why her to-do list only covers a week, Qi Nian questions him. Professor Ji reveals that he will only allow her to be his assistant for a week. This prompts Qi Nian to protest, expressing her disappointment when Professor Ji welcomes his students by name without mentioning hers. Professor Ji explains that if he can remember Qi Nian's name within 7 days, she will have the opportunity to continue as his assistant before leaving the room. While strolling, Professor Ji notices that some students frequently snap pictures of him. He swiftly confiscates a camera from one of the students, intending to delete all the photos. However, as he scrolls through the images, he comes across a picture of Qi Nian, who was also captured in the frame. At that moment, a colleague inquires about the name of the woman Professor Ji was with. To his own surprise, Professor Ji immediately recalls Qi Nian's name. This realization leaves him astounded. Determined to make Professor Ji remember her name within the 7-day time frame, Qi Nian employs various tactics. She wears a t-shirt with her name boldly displayed and seizes every opportunity to write her name in various media. However, despite her efforts, Professor Ji still fails to remember her name. Curiosity piqued, Professor Ji confronts Qi Nian, urging her to be honest about why she is so persistent in wanting to be his assistant. Qi Nian confesses that she has been in love with him since their first encounter and that she needs him for reasons she cannot disclose. Professor Ji finds it hard to believe that Qi Nian so easily expresses her love and suspects her intentions. When Professor Ji's grandfather arrives, he mistakenly assumes that his grandson is dating Qi Nian. Believing her to be a college student, he advises Qi Nian against dating and encourages her to focus on her education. Refusing to accept the grandfather's words, Qi Nian promptly presents her identification card to reveal her true identity. She informs him that she is a Taurus and, interestingly, compatible with Professor Ji, who is a Capricorn. It turns out that Professor Ji's grandfather is an astrologer and attempts to match their zodiac signs to assess their compatibility. He even contemplates arranging another blind date for Professor Ji. Professor Ji can decline the offer if he already has a girlfriend. However, in a surprising turn of events, Professor Ji glances at Qi Nian and claims to have a girlfriend. This revelation fills Qi Nian with excitement and happiness. However, Professor Ji's grandfather remains skeptical and questions if his grandson can recall his girlfriend's name. To everyone's delight, Professor Ji smoothly mentions the name Qi Nian, solidifying the fact that he remembers her. Overjoyed, Qi Nian realizes that she has successfully etched her name into Professor Ji's memory. Professor Ji's grandfather finally hands over his grandson to Qi Nian, bidding them farewell as he leaves. In the office, Qi Nian receives criticism from her editor, who points out that her storyline is resembling more of a stalker's tale rather than a romantic one. Qi Nian later discovers that her housemate, whom she previously assumed was a girl, is actually Qi Jiang, a renowned master loved by teenage comic enthusiasts. Realizing Qi Jiang's expertise, Qi Nian seeks his help in evaluating her work. Agreeing with the editor's assessment, Qi Jiang confirms that Qi Nian's creation lacks the essence of a true love story. He advises her to inject her own emotions into the narrative and genuinely chase after the main character. Although the story itself may be fictional, the emotions portrayed should feel authentic. Qi Jiang provides Qi Nian with some attention-grabbing tips, such as dressing beautifully and attractively, pretending to be a vulnerable woman, and even declaring love dramatically. However, despite Qi Nian's desperate attempts, all her efforts prove fruitless. Eventually, Professor Ji discovers that Qi Nian is not a student at Kunming University. Qi Nian voluntarily resigns, returning her employee card and the USB containing the task she was assigned. She apologizes for lying to Professor Ji but expresses her unwavering desire to be close to him. During this time, Qi Nian's editor, Xin calls and informs her that the competition for the selection of new works has been moved up. In a rush, Qi Nian hurries back to her house, braving the rain. After Qi Nian departs, Professor Ji comes across a sketch of her and notices the pouring rain outside. Concerned for Qi Nian's well-being, he starts to worry about her. Upon arriving home, Qi Nian immediately opens her laptop, neglecting to dry herself properly. The next morning, she wakes up feeling faint and realizes she has a high fever due to the rain from the previous day. Despite her illness, Qi Nian refuses to go to the hospital, as she still has to complete the sketch. Feeling sorry for Qi Nian, Qi Jiang offers to assist her. Meanwhile, in another location, Professor Ji is preparing for his seminar but feels disappointed that Qi Nian is no longer his assistant. As he encounters a problem with the PowerPoint presentation that Qi Nian prepared on the USB, which cannot be opened, he realizes that the new assistant lacks a backup file. Professor Ji attempts to contact Qi Nian but she does not answer his call. At another location, Qi Nian and Qi Jiang continue to work tirelessly to meet the deadline. Encouraged by their progress, Qi Nian becomes optimistic that she can complete the sketch by the afternoon. During a break, she checks her phone, which she had ignored the previous day, and discovers numerous missed calls from Professor Ji and his new assistant. Qi Nian promptly returns the call and learns about the problem. She rushes to reach Professor Ji, fortunately arriving just in time to hand over her USB. However, in her weakened state, Qi Nian only has 3 hours left to finish the sketch before she faints. Worried about Qi Nian, Professor Ji takes her to the hospital. Upon waking up, Qi Nian is startled to find herself in the hospital, with Professor Ji by her side. At that moment, her new assistant contacts her and reveals that, for the first time, she witnessed Professor Ji in a state of panic, even considering leaving his seminar. Qi Nian expresses remorse for her carelessness in not preparing a backup file, causing Professor Ji to miss his important presentation. Surprisingly, Professor Ji asks for her thoughts and commends her for still delivering the file despite her high fever. From that point on, Professor Ji begins to trust Qi Nian. While waiting for the bus to arrive, Qi Nian experiences her heart beating faster. She notices a comic poster titled Flowers and Romance and reads the words stating that a pounding heart is the beginning of pleasure. Qi Nian receives information that if she declares her love on bus number 520 at 5:20, her love may have a chance to succeed. She once again confesses her feelings to Professor Ji, but he responds that he is currently uninterested in romantic relationships. Unwilling to give up, Qi Nian simply asks for time to get closer to him. Thinking she had failed to meet her deadline, Qi Nian is surprised when her editor praises her for delivering the work on time, even an hour earlier. She is astonished and suspects that Qi Zhang played a role in assisting her. The editor delivers good news that Qi Nian's new work has been chosen for next month, bringing happiness to Qi Nian's heart. However, she also feels a pang of sadness, considering the possibility that she may not see Professor Ji again now that she is no longer his assistant. That's when Qi Nian discovers that Professor Ji had slipped his company's business card into her pants pocket. Recalling that he had returned her cell phone earlier, she realizes that he had discreetly included a business card with his office address. This revelation excites Qi Nian, as it indicates that Professor Ji doesn't mind her continuing to approach him. After arriving at Professor Ji's office, Qi Nian is immediately assigned the task of delivering documents. Not only that, but she also resumes her role as Professor Ji's assistant at his house. Since they are no longer on campus, Qi Nian is asked to address him as Mr. Ji. Mr. Ji sets 3 rules for Qi Nian to follow while working at his house. First, she is not allowed to disturb him while he is working. Second, she must refrain from entering the forbidden area of the house. Lastly, she is prohibited from staying overnight. If it becomes necessary for her to stay overnight, she must not leave the designated room. Violating any of these rules will result in immediate termination. As time passes, Qi Nian gets to know her master better while staying at his house. She becomes increasingly curious about the forbidden area as she notices Mr. Ji's mood drastically changing whenever he goes there. Later, Qi Nian meets with Qi Zhang, hoping to persuade him to complete his work. Qi Zhang expresses doubt in his own talents and recalls a childhood memory. He had once shared his aspirations of becoming a comic artist with his brother, but his brother had opposed his dreams. In an attempt to encourage Qi Zhang, Qi Nian shows him a sketch and reveals that it received the highest rating among the ones she submitted to her editor. She invites Qi Zhang to participate in a competition for the selection of new works with her. On a working day, Mr. Ji asks Qi Nian to watch over his house and entrusts her with the key. While inside the house, Qi Nian hears a phone ringing from a forbidden area. Worried that it might be an important call, she attempts to answer it, but Mr. Ji suddenly rushes back home. Furious that Qi Nian has broken his rules, Mr. Ji angrily chases her out of his house. Busy brainstorming a title for Qi Nian's latest work, they decide to name it Pure Beauty, with the main characters named Mr. Ji and Sochi. Desperate to gain inspiration for a new story, Qi Nian tries to understand Mr. Ji's character by immersing herself in a game. Unexpectedly, she receives a call from someone asking her to return to Mr. Ji's house. Qi Nian immediately rushes there, surprising Mr. Ji upon her arrival. Playing the game for 3 consecutive days, Qi Nian still believes she is in the game and assumes that the person in front of her, Yan Xin, is an in-game character. Yan Xin questions Qi Nian's reason for coming and instructs her to leave immediately. However, Qi Nian firmly refuses to be expelled again and declares that he can punish her in any way as long as he doesn't send her away. Receiving cold treatment from Mr. Ji, Qi Nian eventually realizes that she is no longer in the game. Despite this, she sincerely admits that she prefers the real Yan Xin over the character in the game. Witnessing Qi Nian's earnestness, Yan Xin accepts her apology and asks her not to repeat her mistake. It turns out that Mr. Ji is running a fever and Qi Nian is assigned to take care of him. However, her phone rings, causing her to accidentally drop Yan Xin's medication. Yan Xin wakes up to the sound and wonders who Qi Nian is talking to. He takes her phone and asks Qi Nian to accompany him to an event the next day. As they need to leave early in the morning, Yan Xin allows Qi Nian to stay at his house on the condition that she promises to stay in her room until morning. The following day, Yan Xin attends the inauguration of the bookstore he designed, while Qi Nian begrudgingly dresses up in a costume as instructed. However, during the medication time, Yan Xin mistakenly takes the sleeping pills, confusing them for fever medication. As a result, he becomes overcome with heavy sleepiness. Qi Nian guides him to the top floor of the building and finds a place for him to lie down. Sensing his struggle to stay awake, Yan Xin asks Qi Nian to talk about anything to keep him from dozing off. Qi Nian opens up about herself and shares her stories with him. Upon returning home, Qi Nian discovers that Yan Xin had taken sleeping pills. She finally learns about the side effects of the medication, including anxiety and sleepwalking. Concerned for his well-being, she realizes the potential risks involved. Yan Xin's long-lost brother suddenly contacts him, requesting assistance in obtaining documents for his lost ID card. Yan Xin inquires about his brother's job search and coincidentally learns that his brother has been accepted as an assistant at a company. Reflecting on the thin line between pursuing dreams and wasting time, Yan Xin expresses annoyance at always being underestimated. In response, his brother presents his work contract. Yan Xin proposes a deal. If his brother succeeds in achieving his dream job, Yan Xin will let him go and support his decision. However, if he fails, his brother must accept the reality and work alongside him. Upon returning home, Yan Xin discovers Qi Nian fast asleep on the sofa, waiting for his arrival. He gently carries her to the guest room. During the night, Qi Nian awakens and finds Yan Xin sleeping next to her. Initially thinking she had entered the wrong room, she realizes she is actually in the guest room. In that moment, Yan Xin slightly opens his eyes, hugs Qi Nian, and then guides her back to her own bedroom. Qi Nian finally comprehends that her master has been sleepwalking. As time goes on, Qi Nian grows weary, unable to sleep as she must remain awake to watch over her sleepwalking master throughout the night. One night, Qi Nian finds herself saving Yan Xin from nearly falling into the pool during a recurrence of his sleeping sickness. However, she also realizes that she can take advantage of his illness. When Yan Xin is asleep, he becomes extremely calm, allowing Qi Nian to easily sketch his drawings. He even complies with her request to hug or kiss, enabling her to capture the necessary sketches. Qi Nian understands that the real Yan Xin would never be this gentle with her, nor would she have the freedom to act as she pleases when he is awake. Thus, she sees his sleepwalking habit as an opportunity for her own benefit. One day, Yan Xin receives a call informing him that his brother has fallen victim to a scam by the company he works for. Yan Xin immediately meets with his troubled brother and reminds him of the promise he made to work in his office. On the other hand, in Qi Nian's office, the employees rejoice as beauty of the girl quickly rises to the top of the rankings on its first day of uploading, even breaking previous records. Qi Nian excitedly contacts her assistant and is told to come to the office and prepare to become a professional comic. Unbeknownst to Yan Xin, he becomes frustrated during a conversation with his brother and abruptly ends it by cutting off the call, unaware that he was actually speaking to Qi Nian. Qi Jiang visits Mansuo's office and meets Xin Xin, who offers him a contract as a writer. Qi Nian reveals to Qi Jiang that she wants him to be her co-writer, not just her assistant. Through Xin Xin, Qi Jiang learns that the prototype for Mr. Ji is actually Qi Nian's own boss, and the work she has been creating so far has been her own story. At Mr. Ji's house, Qi Nian is shocked to witness her master falling out of bed. She discovers that Yan Xin has finished taking his medication and notices his notebook on sleepwalking. Qi Nian attempts to help him back into bed, but in a moment of unconsciousness, Yan Xin pulls her close and kisses her. Shortly after, he wakes up, shocked to find himself in such a situation and realizing that Qi Nian has discovered his sleepwalking habit. Not long after, Yan Xin's brother, Qi arrives at the house to pick up Qi Nian. Yan Xin is surprised to learn that his brother also knows Qi Nian. Qi takes Qi Nian for a walk to express his gratitude for saving his life when he was about to give up on his dream. As they stroll, Qi Nian remains unaware that someone is secretly following them. It turns out to be Yan Xin, who had decided to trail them, believing that Qi Nian and Qi were in a romantic relationship. Feeling a tinge of jealousy, Yan Xin sends an email to Qi Nian, outlining a list of tasks she must complete. He gives her a strict 30-minute deadline to return to his house. Meanwhile, Yan Xin hurriedly heads back home himself, so as not to raise any suspicions in Qi Nian's mind. Upon arriving home in a rush, Qi Nian is immediately assigned an important task by Yan Xin. They then have a discussion about the incident earlier, and Yan Xin inquires if he did anything beyond kissing during his sleepwalking episode. Yan Xin honestly explains to Qi Nian that it was a recurring condition from his past, and it only resurfaces when he feels immense pressure. Yan Xin proceeds to question why it took Qi Nian so long to answer her phone. In response, Qi Nian explains that she went for a walk with her housemate to celebrate something, clarifying that her housemate is just a friend with whom she shares the rent. Hearing this explanation, Yan Xin feels reassured and at ease. The following day, the office holds its monthly meeting agenda, and thanks to Qi Nian's successful work, her colleagues no longer underestimate her. Meanwhile, at Yan Xin's house, Qi Nian finds herself daydreaming while cleaning the pool, and she accidentally splashes water, getting her clothes wet. Yan Xin lends her his shirt, unaware that it actually belongs to his brother, Qi. In the midst of their interaction, Yan Xin reminisces about throwing away his brother's collectibles. When Qi Nian mentions it, Yan Xin denies her words, claiming there is no value in liking useless things. This revelation upsets Qi Nian, as she knows the truth that Yan Xin himself is fond of and even collects Dream's Fairy. The following night, Yan Xin once again succumbs to his sleepwalking habit. He enters Qi Nian's room, takes her hand, and invites her into the forbidden place. To her surprise, Qi Nian discovers not only the old phone but also an extensive collection of comics and action figures, including a complete set of green spirit dolls. When Yan Xin wakes up from his sleep, he is astonished to learn that Qi Nian has uncovered his big secret. However, he doesn't feel angry because he realizes that it was his own doing, as he had inadvertently revealed it while sleepwalking. In response to Yan Xin's revelation, Qi Nian suggests that they take a trip together to attend an out-of-town event. She tries to persuade Yan Xin to take some time off and enjoy the fireworks with her. However, Yan Xin firmly refuses, explaining that his schedule is overloaded with work and there is no room for anything else. Qi Nian feels a sense of sadness and disappointment, as she had been looking forward to experiencing the joy of watching the fireworks together. Unable to fulfill her wish, Qi Nian resorts to expressing her longing through a status update, which Yan Xin comes across and reads. To Qi Nian's surprise, Yan Xin secretly purchases tickets online and takes her to the amusement park to watch the fireworks show. That night, Yan Xin shows remarkable attentiveness towards Qi Nian, making her feel special. Despite her drunken state, Qi Nian is aware that Yan Xin's sleepwalking episodes are triggered by missing someone. She musters the courage to ask him about the person who holds a special place in his heart, but Yan Xin remains silent. As the night progresses, Yan Xin invites Qi Nian to watch the fireworks show. Qi Nian, slightly intoxicated, insists on buying ice cream and playfully inquires about the person in Yan Xin's heart. She asks if that person is his ex-girlfriend, if he loved her deeply, and if she was beautiful. Curiosity gets the better of her, and she questions if Yan Xin misses that person so much. In response, Yan Xin surprises her by stating that one should not miss the person right beside them. With a declaration of love, Yan Xin kisses Qi Nian, further deepening their connection. After discovering that the person Yan Xin misses is his brother, Qi, also known as Qi Jiang, Qi Nian realizes that the character Mr. Ji that she has been drawing in her comics is actually Yan Xin's own brother. Qi Nian asks Qi to deliver a comic to Yan Xin, and shortly after, Yan Xin receives a phone call informing him that their grandfather has been hospitalized. Upon arriving at the hospital, Qi feels saddened by their grandfather's condition. He makes a promise to Yan Xin that they will reconcile and stay together, but on the condition that Qi Nian also stays with them. Qi Nian accepts the challenge, knowing that the two brothers have contrasting personalities, from their character traits to their preferences in food. Qi has a sweet tooth, while Yan Xin prefers salty foods. As they continue with their chores, Qi expresses his exhaustion from staying with his brother. He reminisces about the harmonious relationship they once had. Their parents were strict with Yan Xin's studies, requiring him to spend most of his time in the study room and follow their father's orders. Despite this, Yan Xin remained kind to Qi. However, when their parents divorced when Qi was 12 years old, their lives changed. Their mother left for America, and their father's whereabouts were unknown. They both moved in with their grandfather, and Yan Xin's attitude began to change. He started treating Qi in a similar way to their father. After a heated argument, Qi decides to catch up with their mother and go to America, seeking solace and escape from the strained relationship with his brother. As Qi Nian observes Qi's emotional state, she realizes that it must be because it's his birthday. Determined to make the day special for Qi, she discusses it with Yan Xin, and they both decide to prepare a surprise birthday party. Meanwhile, Qi reminisces about his past birthdays, specifically his 16th birthday. On that day, Yan Xin had been angry and disappointed with Qi because he received a call from the school about a fight Qi had been involved in. Yan Xin scolded him without listening to Qi's explanation, unaware that Qi had been defending himself against bullies. Feeling unjustly blamed, Qi had retorted that he didn't care about being expelled, as he also aspired to become a comic artist. This only angered Yan Xin further, leading him to destroy Qi's beloved action figure collection. This incident deeply hurt Qi, and it became a turning point in their relationship. Qi chose to run away from home, unable to bear the pain caused by his brother's actions. The scene then switches to the present time. Qi arrives home and is taken aback by the surprise prepared by Qi Nian. However, when Qi Nian mentions that Yan Xin also helped her, Qi becomes upset and angry. He quickly decides to leave, unable to handle his emotions at the moment. At the hospital, Yan Xin takes the opportunity to apologize to his brother for his past actions. Later, Qi returns home and searches for the gift that Qi had thrown away. To his surprise, he finds a photo sheet that depicts a large wooden cabinet, the same one that was kept in the forbidden place. Qi opens the cabinet and discovers that all the collections that his brother had destroyed were preserved inside. This revelation leaves Qi in awe and brings mixed emotions as he realizes the significance of the gesture and the effort Yan Xin had put into preserving his belongings. A few days later, Qi Nian is excited to be invited to eat together at the Ji family residence and to witness the gradual improvement in the relationship between Yan Xin and Qi. The Ji family also invites Qi Nian to join them on a camping trip, giving her the opportunity to spend more time with Yan Xin. Determined to win Yan Xin's heart, Qi Nian decides to showcase her charms during the camping trip. She wears feminine clothes, hoping to make a strong impression on Yan Xin. However, just as she is about to make progress, her clothes accidentally tear, leading to an embarrassing situation. Despite the mishap, Qi Nian remains determined and tries to handle the situation with grace and humor. While in the game of the koi bracelets, Qi Nian and Yan Xin find themselves bound by the rules of the bracelet, which requires them to stay close to each other to reduce the time. However, Yan Xin misinterprets the purpose of the game and focuses on physical exercise to trigger a faster heartbeat and decrease the time. Qi Nian becomes upset as he fails to understand the true intent of the game. Unfortunately, during their run, Qi Nian injures her leg, causing her pain and distress. Yan Xin immediately carries her to the tent, showing his concern for her well-being. Inside the tent, he takes hold of Qi Nian's hand and suggests a quick way to open the bracelet. Qi Nian realizes his intention and begins to kiss Yan Xin, leading to their bracelet opening automatically. Their intimate moment signifies a deeper connection and understanding between Qi Nian and Yan Xin, as they not only overcome the game's challenge but also express their feelings for each other. Upon overhearing Yan Xin talking to her cousin Anzi, Qi Nian feels a sense of discomfort as she perceives his words as an insinuation directed towards her. Yan Xin expresses his dislike for others pressuring him about his feelings and emphasizes the importance of honesty and openness in a relationship. He makes it clear that he won't be involved with someone who has secrets or hides things from him. Qi Nian, feeling the weight of these words, starts to question whether she has been honest enough with Yan Xin about her own secrets and feelings. She realizes that she may need to confront her fears and be open with him in order to move forward in their relationship. After returning home from the camping trip, Qi Nian receives good news from her editor about her work being booked and an upcoming autograph event. This brings both surprise and happiness to Qi Nian. However, she has made up her mind to leave Yan Xin's house and prepares to say her goodbyes. When she is about to leave, Yan Xin suddenly appears. Qi Nian gathers her courage and speaks honestly to him, confessing that she had fabricated her initial feelings for him and used their relationship for the sake of her story. She reveals that she is actually a comic artist, and her younger brother, Qi, is her assistant. Qi Nian also explains that Yan Xin's character is the artist in her work, and everything she has done was driven by the needs of her story. Qi Nian expresses regret for her actions and admits that she should have left when Yan Xin initially rejected her. She acknowledges that the more she got closer to him, the more she genuinely liked him. However, despite all her efforts, Yan Xin still does not reciprocate her feelings. Feeling defeated, Qi Nian decides to give up and leave Yan Xin's house. When Yan Xin pulls Qi Nian back into his house and kisses her, she is initially uncertain and believes it to be just another product of her imagination, as she has often daydreamed about Yan Xin before. However, as the moment unfolds, she realizes that this is not a figment of her imagination but a genuine expression of Yan Xin's feelings for her. Qi Nian is taken aback by the unexpected turn of events. She had convinced herself that Yan Xin would never return her love and that all the romantic notions she had about him were merely in her imagination. However, his actions now make it clear that her feelings were reciprocated and that her dreams have become a reality. Qi Nian is taken aback by the turn of events, as Yan Xin initially tries to initiate intimate moments with her but is interrupted when she expresses her hunger. They decide to go out and eat instead. During their meal, Yan Xin utters two simple words to Qi Nian, "Let's go out." These words hold significant meaning for her, as they remind her of a past encounter with Lu Qingwu and her editor, Xiao Li, back in high school. During their meeting, Qi Nian and Lu Qingwu were offered an opportunity to collaborate on a manhwa, which could mark the beginning of their professional careers as comic creators. Xiao Li recognizes the strengths and weaknesses of both Qi Nian and Lu Qingwu and suggests that their collaboration would be a great success. They decide to debut together under the name Qiyue Qingwu, combining their names. The first work they create, titled At the End of the Cloud, receives immense success and is recognized as the best work of the year. However, when it comes to receiving the award, Qi Nian is surprised to find out that Lu Qingwu claims the award alone. This revelation shocks Qi Nian as she realizes that her contribution to the work has been overlooked. She feels a mix of disappointment and confusion, as she had put her heart and soul into creating the story. This turn of events leaves her questioning her role and the recognition she deserves in the world of comics. After Qi Nian showcased her final sketch for At the End of the Cloud, she had an encounter with Xiao Li. During their conversation, Qi Nian informed Xiao Li that she would be preparing for her national exams and would be less active on the Qiyue Qingwu account. Unfortunately, Xiao Li accidentally spilled water on Qi Nian's laptop, promising to replace it with a new one. Unbeknownst to Qi Nian, Xiao Li took advantage of the situation. He deleted her name from the account and changed the password, leaving Qi Nian unaware of the changes and unable to access the account to prove her ownership and authorship. This created a difficult situation for Qi Nian as she faced the challenge of reclaiming her work and establishing her identity as a creator. During this time, Qi Nian faced a wave of accusations and slander. In an attempt to prove her innocence, she uploaded some original sketches from At the End of the Cloud on her own account. However, this only fueled the flames of controversy. Qi Nian found herself entangled in a manhwa fan forum where she was accused of plagiarizing Lu Qingwu's work. The accusations and abuse directed at her escalated to the point where her account had to be blocked. As a result, Qi Nian's reputation as a writer was severely damaged, and she became the target of widespread criticism. Thankfully, her office still stood by her, offering support and allowing her to continue working in the comic industry. Without their backing, Qi Nian might have been forced to abandon her dreams as a creator. After the controversy surrounding her previous work, Qi Nian decided to undergo a transformation. She changed her drawing style and adopted a new pen name, venturing into the realm of teenage comics, despite not being well-versed in that genre. Determined to make a comeback, Qi Nian poured her efforts into her new work, Beauty by the Girl. Surprisingly, her work gained immense popularity, attracting attention from various readers and industry professionals. Meanwhile, Lu Qingwu, unaware that Qi Zai was actually Qi Nian, attempted to seize the name and recognition associated with it. However, she had to face disappointment as Qi Zai slipped through her grasp time and time again. Qi Nian had firmly established herself under her new pen name, leaving Lu Qingwu unable to undermine her success. In the meantime, Qi becomes aware of the relationship between his brother, Yan Xin, and Qi Nian. The news deeply saddens Qi and affects his ability to draw manhwa. Feeling guilty and wanting to spare Qi from further pain, Qi Nian makes the difficult decision to stop being his assistant. She believes that it's best for Qi to distance himself from the story involving Yan Xin and herself. On the other hand, Yan Xin surprises Qi Nian by taking her to a hotel. To her surprise, Yan Xin has arranged a single hotel room specifically for her. Furthermore, he has set up a dedicated studio for her to work on her manhwa, ensuring she can focus on creating the comic. Yan Xin has high hopes that the girl's pure beauty comic will soon be adapted into a drama, showcasing Qi Nian's talent to a wider audience. While in the office, the anticipation is high as everyone prepares for a meeting regarding the upcoming drama adaptation of Qi Zai's manhwa. The news has generated positive feedback from fans, and many renowned stars have been cast in the production. However, amidst the excitement, slanderous rumors circulate on manhwa fan forums, accusing Qi Nian of fabricating her work and claiming that the prototype of Mr. Ji is merely a figment of her imagination. Feeling overwhelmed by the situation, Qi Nian decides to confide in Yan Xin about her past. She opens up about the challenges she faced and the hardships she overcame to become a manhwa artist. Qi Nian shares her passion for storytelling and her genuine intentions behind creating the girl's pure beauty comic. She expresses her frustration over the baseless accusations and the impact they have on her reputation. Yan Xin listens attentively, providing support and reassurance during this difficult time. On the day of the highly anticipated signature event and Qi Zai fan meeting, the atmosphere is buzzing with excitement as everyone busily prepares for the occasion. Qi Nian feels a mixture of nervousness and anticipation, fearing that the rumors circulating yesterday might affect the turnout. However, her worries prove to be unfounded as a large number of her dedicated fans show up to support her. During the question and answer session, a curious fan raises a question about the existence of the real-life prototype of Mr. Ji. In response, Qi Nian confidently states that the girl's pure beauty encompasses her own personal stories, including her pursuit of Mr. Ji. She clarifies that the rumors surrounding the authenticity of her work are false. The fans express their eagerness to meet Mr. Ji in person, clearly enthralled by the character and eager for a glimpse of the man who inspired such a captivating story. As Yan Xin makes his appearance, the fans immediately recognize him and the atmosphere of the event becomes even more lively. Without any hesitation, Yan Xin introduces himself to the fans, adding to the cheerful ambience of the day. When Yan Xin and Qi Nian find a moment alone, he expresses his desire to be with her not just for a short period of time, but for eternity. Yan Xin urges Qi Nian to open up to him, emphasizing the importance of trust and emotional connection in their relationship. Meanwhile, the popularity of Qi Nian's work has also brought her attention from many attractive men. One of them is a former senior from her high school who has now transformed into a popular idol in the drama adaptation of her manhwa. Qi Nian finds herself surrounded by admirers, adding an interesting dynamic to her personal and professional life. Yan Xin becomes jealous and concerned when he sees Qi Nian interacting with another man, as he feels his position in her life might be threatened. To solidify their relationship, Yan Xin decides to visit Qi Nian's hometown and seek her parents' blessing. He asks Qi Nian to bring her personal documents and accompanies her to the marriage registry, where he proposes to her and asks her to marry him. Initially, Qi Nian is taken aback by the sudden proposal and the fast pace of their relationship. She had not even informed her parents about her intentions. However, as if on cue, her mother calls and has an intimate conversation with Yan Xin. To Qi Nian's surprise, her mother is not angry but rather congratulates her on finding a handsome man like Yan Xin. This leaves Qi Nian confused but also relieved. When they arrive at the Ji family residence, Qi Nian is apprehensive about breaking the news of their marriage, fearing that Yan Xin's grandfather might react negatively. However, Yan Xin reassures her, saying that his grandfather would likely be overjoyed instead. The couple plans to share the news of their marriage, knowing that they have already completed the marriage registration process. The following day at the office, Qi Nian is busy completing her manhwa, which coincidentally ends with a wedding. Her colleagues congratulate her and eagerly anticipate her next work, which will explore life after marriage. Qi Nian even wears her wedding dress as she realizes that Yan Xin had been planning to marry her for a long time. He then officially proposes to her, and they prepare for their wedding ceremony. The moral of the story is that assumptions can lead us astray. Qi Nian initially believed Yan Xin's sleepwalking was a mere nuisance, but little did she know that it would lead to hilarious and heartwarming moments. Similarly, our preconceived notions can blind us to the hidden talents, passions, and quirks of those around us. So, never underestimate the surprises that can arise from a sleepwalking adventure. Just like Yan Xin's nocturnal wanderings, life has a way of throwing unexpected twists and turns our way.